I have something to show you. For those new to this case, this guy is a wannabe pastor in South Carolina. I'm not going to go over the whole case. His name is John Paul Miller. On April 27th of last year, 2024, his wife allegedly took her own life. Now, she did it an hour and a half away from where they live. And it happened on Saturday, okay? Now, instead of rushing to go be by her side and find out what was going on, this is good. He decided to wake up the next morning and preach. Not even see her body. Matter of fact, he was calling people trying to figure out how to have her cremated before ever going to see her. And he claims that he tried to raise her from the dead. But I don't know how you can do that when you choose to go preach first and then you're trying to figure out how to have her cremated. I don't understand why you would have people you're calling people to have her cremated. Anyways, you get what I mean? Anyways, finally after he's done preaching, he finally decides to go see her body. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. I've got playlists on my Facebook and YouTube if you want to go watch them. But a couple days after she died, he's seen in public with this woman. And her husband's dead too, from a couple years ago. And according to this guy, his ex-wife says that they've been having an affair for a long time. His ex-wife is from a previous time. They got all kinds of kids. And he's not allowed to see his children. Let's be clear about that. He can say he chose that, but that's not true. The courts have deemed him a danger to his children. Anyways, so he and her allegedly have been having an affair. And a couple days after his wife dies, they're out. Now, once she goes out with this guy, people start asking, what are you doing? Why are you with him? The excuse is he needed a friend. Okay, whatever. Yeah. So then she starts sending this text message out to people. And some of you have seen it before. It's a long time, but I'm going to show it to you. So she sends this text message out to people. And she essentially copies and pastes the text message to anyone who asks. And the first rendition of this text message that we have is from May 2nd, just days after death of this guy's wife. Let's read the text message. People also said he murdered his wife, but she's attempted before in the past. That's not true. I want to remind you that there's no documentation of such. They say that the police were called when she attempted, and they came and took her to the hospital, and neighbors called 911 and all that, and the police say no. We don't have that. Anyways, come back. She's schizophrenic, bipolar, and has dependent personality disorder. No, she doesn't. There's never been a document presented by a doctor who specializes in this that said, I have diagnosed her with this. I'll prove in another video why any medical document on her is irrelevant. That's different. She took herself off her meds starting in December. That's untrue. It's a lie. Untrue. Just untrue, by the way. And this is the longest she's been off her lithium since she was diagnosed in 2007. Again, never diagnosed. They say she was diagnosed by a plastic surgeon. Good stuff. Told you it's wild. Stick with me, guys. You just have to stick with me. A few weeks ago, she threw a belt out of the car while driving down the highway because she thought it was Satan and the serpent. That's the part I want you to stick with. And don't worry, I've got a second apple. Now, in February, 2 months before Mica Miller passed away, she was admitted into a mental facility against her will. And while she was in that facility, her husband, the guy who claims he's got a tattoo of Mica on the side, but nobody can see it, is taking her stuff. And he took her phone. And this is not up for debate. He's admitted to doing this. See, watch. Remember this?
Now, if you want to talk about your own problems, the Bible says confess your own faults one to another, then you can be healed. But if you're going to talk about somebody else, that's a demon actually right there. When my wife went in the hospital, I looked at her phone and I counted over the past 2 years, 18 people who had texted her and said, if you ever want to talk about your husband, you can talk to me and say anything and I'll keep it confidential. Why the heck does somebody want to hear what somebody else says about their spouse? And 2 of those 18 were men.
How dare people check on her? As if that's some crazy thing. And remember, he says that's a demon. This is the guy who said demons were coming out of him. Anyways, so remember the belt. Susie's telling people that Mica thought a belt in her car was a snake. And while she's helping spread these lies, I found something very interesting. This is Mica's phone. And it's John Paul taking pictures of the conversations Mica had. And I want you to read it. It's between Mica and her sister Anna. Hey, I was made aware that you did not give Abby Ryan's belt. Ryan is Anna's boyfriend. I'm on the way right now to come and get it, or you'll have to reimburse Ryan for $500 for a replacement belt. I have plans. I'm making a pit stop and we'll grab it on the way. Please leave it on the porch. Now I've confirmed that Ryan, Anna's boyfriend, likes expensive things. Good for him. I'm glad he can afford those types of things. And so there's good reason for Anna to want to come and get that belt. Mica responds, hey, no worries at all. She was going to take it, and she decided not to, but she knew where it was. It's by the trash in the grass. John Paul thought it was a snake. Now remember, John Paul took Mica's phone in February, 2 months before her death. So this means that this conversation happened before that. And you heard in the audio, you heard in the video that John Paul went through 2 years worth of messages. And you ask any person that has dealt with the wrath of John Paul Miller, and the number one thing that he does is he gets information against you to turn it against you. He gets information that will fit his narrative, and he turns it. For example, John Paul would stand in the church, and he would ask everyone to bow their heads, and he would ask, certain things. Just lift your hand, nobody looking but me. Lift your hand if you've ever had an affair. Lift your hand if you're struggling with an addiction. People would trust their pastor. And they would lift their hand, and John Paul would remember that. And if you ever turned on him, he would use that information against you. We've seen it in Sam's lawsuit. Mica had a lot on that phone. That's why John Paul took it. And he went through it. And he found information and he made up stories to make it look like she was crazy. Now the question is this. Did Suzie know that these were lies? Or was she simply believing the nonsense that John Paul Miller made up about his wife? And the only way that we will ever know that is if Suzie tells us herself. But until then, we have to assume that she is simply helping him hide the truth. And there's more. We'll save that for another day.